You're listening to the ReachCast show, your weekly stop for the latest and greatest in the PlanetSide 2 universe and its community.
What's up, everybody? Welcome. It is March 18th, and you are listening to episode 25 of the ReachCast show. I am your host, Torx, and with me tonight are my two wonderful co-hosts, Knox and Derringer.
Why, hello there.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it's good talking with you guys again tonight. This week's episode is brought to you by Dr. Pepper Withdrawal, and also by great listeners like you guys via Support the Show tab. Helps us pay for the show costs. It's just on the ReachCastShow.com. This week, our guys played with no dice on Watterson.
Our guys, we.
I would say Derringer being our guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was just me. I was playing with the awesome guys and no dice.
What? You mean, okay, whatever. It was just you, I'm not saying.
We played with Imperial Reach this week.
Yeah, that was me too.
That was you too. And we played with 666 on Connery. So, as always, we talk about the outfits we play with. And we have a lot in store for you guys tonight. Obviously, there's the MLG announcements, game update 4, a lot of good call-ins, a lot of good stuff for you guys tonight. So we're looking forward to kicking it off. But before we go into our normal content, we had discussed before the T-Ray voiceover pack for the game. Well, Edition 1 was good. You know, we had that, and now Edition 2 was just released, and here it is.
Who are these fools? Probably somebody I don't like.
That is the new...
That one's for spotting enemies.
That's new spotting.
Enemies, yep.
Can I hear it one more time?
Sure, yes.
Who are these fools? Probably somebody I don't like.
You know, I can really see the infiltrators standing next to me, slamming their Q key and saying that.
I think it'd be good. But, I digress. On to patch notes.
I'm going to get these mosquitoes in the air and rain down some hellfires on those fools. Oh no! What the f***? I should have listened to the ReachCast patch notes.
Alright, everybody. Game Update 04 dropped this past week. And while we're not going to cover every minute detail of Game Update 04 because it was enormous, we will cover some key points and leave the rest of the notes in the show notes, just so you guys can get at them and read them yourselves. So starting off, we're going to talk about some general updates, and everybody who's logged into the game recently has already seen that the warp gates were rotated on all 3 continents again. Some people like this, some people hate this, but it's going to be in just about every even game update, as Higby has stated in the past. They also increased the passive cert gain for members, which we've talked about on previous shows, but we wanted to make sure we mentioned again. And they also added a cert point alert when you log in on your character, telling you how many certs you gained while you were offline. Definitely a cool new feature, and I like seeing how many I get rather than just that ticker rolling over every time I
really
log in.
Yeah.
I like it because I feel like I'm actually getting them.
Totally agree. I think it's perfect. This is a good place to do a reminder, guys. If you make sure you log in each of your characters each day, because you only max out of 48 in your queue per se.
48 if you are a 6-month subscriber.
Right.
True.
You only get the passive certs if you're a subscriber.
Well,
but
so
it's very awesome.
Make sure you rotate your guys each day.
So
whatever level
hold on,
you're
that's
at.
not true. You still get passive certs even if you're not a subscriber.
Just not get as many.
I get 13 when I log in.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to make
a
make the point. Logging through your guys, if you're playing multiple guys, just make sure you get them each day, so you're not losing out on the time that you're away from the game.
Well, next up, as we discussed in previous shows as well, the Virtual Reality Training Center was introduced into the game, and I know we all took some time to go in there and play with it. And
that's what most of my time has been this last week.
Now, I did want to add a little pointer because I think the question that I fielded the most this week about the Virtual Reality Training Center was no one seems to know how to get out of it once you're in it. What you need to do is just like how you got into it, find the terminal with the little world or globe above it, and click on that, and it'll give you the option to choose one of the continents to move to. So again, that just seems to be an issue a lot of people are having. How do I get out of it once I'm in it? So there's a little tip for everybody on how to get yourself out of the VR training center. Next up, there were some infantry updates, and again, lots of bug fixes, really too many for us to go over in the short amount of time that we have with you guys. But one of the biggest ones was that all explosives meant for and used by infantry had changes, and for the most part, they were all made less effective. And a lot of it was with reducing the explosion radius, the internal explosion radius for the majority of them. But one other big thing was regarding C4, and this one, it's getting a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people are unhappy. A lot of people that don't use C4 but died to it are very happy with it. But without further ado, C4 now despawns when you die. So you will no longer be able to suicide run into a group of enemies, drop your C4, die, and then when you respawn, pop your button and kill everybody where you dropped your C4. It now despawns.
And for anyone who thought that that was fair, like when I first did it myself, I flew over a group of guys, dropped my C4, tried detonating it, but died. And then I respawned and I was like, well, why not? Let's see if it blows up. And then boom, I got like 5 kills. No, that should not have ever been able to be happen. And then you just suicide onto a Sunderer or drop your C4 on it. They can't even get rid of it. This was way exploitable. So people who are upset about it, let's be reasonable here.
I wish I wouldn't be I'm a little bit agitated with it. And the only reason I really am is the transition from placement to actual ignition of the charge is very delayed in the game right now. And it gets irritating sometimes. I'll fly over, I'll drop it on a max, I'll flip back to the switch and sit there and just slam my mouse waiting for it to go off. And it seems like there's too much of a delay there, and it really is irritating.
I think you just have... I feel like C4 was used incorrectly, but it was not as big of an issue as the mines, which we're going to talk about later. So sure. I think this is good.
Well, I had a discussion about this with the guys in No Dice on Friday, and we were wondering maybe if they could make a slight change to how the C4 works now. Is that if you... Because I explained, people were like, well, why can they do that? How can it despawn? And I said, think of it this way. When you die, your detonator dies with you, and you have to respawn with a brand new detonator. So there's the theory as to why you can't explode C4 after you die. And then someone said, well, what if somebody reses you? Could you still explode your C4 then? And I thought, that's not a bad idea. So maybe the devs will think about that. And
did you guys? We should test that. Did you guys test that at all?
We did test it, and it definitely does not work.
Oh, yeah, that's probably something they might want to think about. But that's probably a bit harder than worth the effort, maybe.
I'm sure it's very hard to do, but it's something to think about at least.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on to weapons.
Yeah, there was a good change that went in, especially with the SMGs out. Overall, there's a great deal of weapons that had infantry ammo, weapon ammo capacity increased just broadly. You can check the notes for all of them, but there was a change to a great many weapons that allow a higher ammo capacity just outright.
Almost every single one of them.
It was almost there was a couple that didn't, but it was pretty much all, and I was happy about that. That's good. I think the ammo belts was good, but there's a lot of weapons that are just really low on capacity. You could burn through them way too fast. So yeah, it's good stuff. The flash update for this patch was amazing. So you have the rumble seat now, so you can put a passenger on the back, which opens up a world of possibilities that were just fun to play with. And the Wraith module for the Flash now, which allows you to cloak if you're an infiltrator, has opened up a great world of possibilities as well. And I was listening to some people in IR, and they're talking about rolling around with a group of Wraiths or some Wraith moduled flashes and having NGs on the back with tank mines, and it's just totally annihilating tank columns. And I thought it was fun. It's just fun to listen to them talk about. So
one thing you do need to be aware about with the Wraith module, though, is that you will still kick up dust. Your headlights will still work. your brake lights will still work, and any undercarriage glow will still show even while you're in Wraith mode.
The light? That's funny.
Big under.
So you gotta...
Don't break.
There's some videos out there of Liberators being able to track a group of Wraith module up flashes by their dust trail on Indar.
Well, you know, I think that's really reasonable. Because it's not like Wraith makes them not touch the ground and not pick up dust.
Oh, it's definitely reasonable, but I don't think people realize it's happening. So,
oh yeah.
While you're using your Wraith module, be careful with it. You're not completely invisible.
Yeah, totally invisible.
That's great. I like it.
Well, let's talk about a few more weapon changes. And my baby, the Prowler, when I play Terran Republic, had a lot of... It was basically nerfed. And I know a lot of people that play Terran Republic are unhappy with this nerf. I don't think that I'm really too unhappy with it if it balances things closer in line with the Mag Rider and the Vanguard. But basically what they did to the heat and the HE rounds, they had their blast damage reduced from 1,000 to 700. So what that basically means is full shields and health infantry now require at least 2 rounds to be killed from splash damage exclusively. A direct hit with a shell will still kill infantry, but this is big and in the fact that it lessens some of the camping that people are doing with Prowlers and absolutely decimating infantry with the heat and the HE rounds.
Well, and I believe the blast radius for the Vanguard and Mag Rider were also reduced.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
It's all explosives. This seems to be the trend.
But the issue with the the issue with the Prowler is everybody knows that their cannon fires 2 rounds. And the 2 rounds that you were able to fire were definitely taking out infantry a lot quicker than the Vanguard or the Mag Rider. And that's why the Prowler got that direct nerf.
Yeah. I think
again,
we all saw this coming too.
Yeah, again, I don't think that anybody who's up in arms about it, I think that they're kind of on the wrong on this. I think it was a needed nerf because in my experience playing a Prowler, and I've played a lot of Prowler, we would camp a tower and just launch shell after shell after shell into the tower. I mean, Knox, you and I spent one night where we had hundreds of kills and an hour's worth of play just by camping a tower.
My goodness. Now, why those guys were still spawning there is beyond me, but...
Yeah, well, sometimes you can't fix stupid.
So, I mean, I've just noticed a trend with this update in general is that all explosives were nerfed, and I feel like that might be due to the fact that players feel that they have to buy flak armor, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep, I agree completely. As we said in a couple shows ago, one of the things was, I think it was in Buzzcut's post, that he felt flak armor was becoming mandatory, and this is one way to ensure that flak armor does not appear to be mandatory.
Well, yeah, and then proxy mines you could kill like 4 people with them sometimes too. So, and that those changes seem directly related to that, which we didn't really discuss, but their radiuses were reduced pretty significantly. So, moving along though, the experience granted for killing many enemy vehicles has been increased. So, Galaxy, Liberator, ESF, MBT, and Lightning all had huge changes. Well, Galaxy maybe not quite so huge. It went up by 100 from 300 XP. The Liberator, though, went up from 150 to 500 XP for a vehicle kill. And all the ESFs went up from 75, which I didn't actually realize they were that low.
I didn't either.
I was like, oh, and then I think back and I'm like, yeah, I do get 150 when I kill those things and falling in line with but it just never clicked that I was only getting that much. But that's up to 400 now. MBTs, this is a big one because there's lots of tanks out there. So there's a lot of experience to be had. Went from 100 to 500. And then Lightnings went from 100 to 400.
I got a funny story with the main battle tank XP increase. I rolled a brand new character on Waterson to play with the no dice guys. And I rolled out my heavy Vanu. I blew up a Prowler and went from rank 2 to rank 3 in 1 kill. I had just dinged rank 2, battle rank 2, turned around, fired a few rounds into a Prowler, got the kill. It was an extreme menace kill, plus my 50% Alpha Squad bonus, jumped me from rank 2 to rank 3 in 1 kill.
Well, when I was streaming at MLG, which we'll talk about in a little bit with Torx, which was awesome, but I killed a Prowler, I believe, and it was double XP at the time on top of my 100%, and I got 2,000 for the tank, and then 1,350 for the extreme menace kill. And I was like, holy crap, I just like captured a base and another base all at once.
Yeah, that's the thing. I forgot to say I had double XP on Friday as well, so.
Oh, like I went on for it. I was like still like.
It was fun to watch you.
How much experience I earned like 10 minutes later.
Like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of XP. I looked at the number, I was like, that can't be right. I was like, oh yeah, it's double XP.
Double XP plus.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun.
So needless to say, there's a lot of armor and air hunting going on lately. Next up, we had some UI updates. None of them really stuck out except for one where they added minimap zooming. So now you can use your left and right bracket key to zoom in and zoom out respectively on your minimap on your screen, which is kind of cool. They also did a respawn and map screen revamp. Now we previewed this a few weeks ago when we showed Higby's post on it, and also Maggie and Malorn accidentally showed some of it during one of the Friday Night Ops episodes when they were showing the VR training.
Well, it wasn't accidental, but yeah.
Well, I don't think they meant to do it, but
it wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned, but now deployment locations, they're now displayed on the left side of your screen when you are dead, along with a simplified class selection panel. It functions the same way it did on the respawn screen. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have to say that I don't like this. And the reason I don't like it is I think that it's too small. The icons are a little small. The button to change your loadout is pretty small.
I had a bit of trouble finding that, and yeah, it is pretty small.
Yeah, I think it could probably be bumped up a little bit, and I don't think it would impact what you see on the map too much.
You know what I had problems with, though? I was in a squad, and the squad I was in was Alpha Squad, and all the vehicles in Alpha Squad are the same green as the spawn location Sunderers. And yes, the Sunderer gets bigger.
It looks like a caterpillar.
It gets bigger when you can spawn on it, but I thought it was also going, I mean, gosh, we're going to talk about MLG later, but this is something I noticed a lot of players had trouble with when they were first playing the game.
A lot of people were confused with the changes to the dots that you spawn on, because now the spawn points are now ovals. And like I said, the Sunderers kind of look like little caterpillars on your screen. And I do think a lot of people had difficulty finding those spots and realizing that those were places that they could spawn on.
I like it better, but it's just everyone was so used to the old system that it's a little like, whoa, what? Huh?
We heard that comment a couple times from people that the respawning was a little less intuitive. Go ahead.
One other thing on the respawn and map screen. Previously, there were the 3 continents up in the upper left-hand side of your screen. Those are now gone. If you want to change your continent view, you actually need to click on the name of the continent. It's up in the top middle of your screen, and that will give you a drop-down so you can look at the different continents. It took me all weekend to find this, and that's why I wanted to mention it during the show.
I couldn't find it. I gave up. To be honest, I was like,
I ended up going to the world terminal so I could look at the other continents.
Yeah, that's
because I couldn't find it on the map anymore.
That's good to know. So instant action has been redesigned as well, if you guys didn't notice. And there were some people upset about this. They were upset that they couldn't pick their location to deploy to. And I understand that complaint, but it was way exploitable the way it was. And just playing with outfits, the various outfits I've played with, they'll just be like, all right, guys, redeploy. We're all going to drop here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. And you're like, and it would just, all of a sudden, there'd just be this swarm of drop pods, and it was a little exploitable because you could basically a bigger fight if you were fighting over a biolab or an amp station. What ended up happening was you'd spend half an hour there anyways. By the time you were done, it's back off cooldown. You deploy somewhere else, spend half an hour there, and continue onward. You never have to drive around. Super exploitable. So that's been fixed to where it just deploys you where you want, where it wants you to go. The problem I had with this is it's still going to hotspots, and when I first used it, it stuck me at the crown. So take that as you may. And then one very small thing, which is related to, I like to think that I'm important and my ticket matters, but there's now the battle rifle filter in the depot, and I submitted a ticket saying it was not there.
You mentioned it last show, too.
Yeah, and it's there now.
And bam, it's there. I think you are changing the game positively, Knox. If it weren't for you, we'd be lost.
You know, I like to think it's me because when I was asking people, oh, what's the battle rifle? And they're like, there's no battle rifle. I'm like, no, there is a battle rifle. It's a semi-automatic rifle. They're like, check assault rifles. And this huge debacle where I was like, no, it is called a battle rifle. I went to the wiki, found out it was called a battle rifle, and submitted my ticket.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're the man. That's all I have to say.
You know, Knox, if no one else has said it, I want to just say thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help you.
I'm not thanking you, but good job. The game. So after Game Update 4, we had a 3.14 hotfix. And that was basically primarily to address a number of little performance issues that came up with Game Update. Man, I am slaughtering this tonight. As you guys can tell, I'm sleep deprived. The hotfix is basically sent out to address some of the performance issues that were associated with Game Update 4. And then we had another one in 3.15, which I will let Derringer handle.
Why don't you go back to sleep and I'll take care of this, Chief.
Yeah.
On the next day, they introduced another hotfix, as Torque said. Now, this was to address a bunch of minor fixes, but more importantly, it was to launch the double XP weekend and to also offer some limited time heroic boosts. Now, the heroic boosts are no longer available when you guys are listening to this show, but we thought it was important just to take a few seconds to talk about these. They offered 2 of them, a 3-month and a 6-month boost. Each of them gave you an experience and resource gain of an additional 50%. Obviously, the 3-month one lasted for 3 months, and the 6-month lasted for 6 months. The sticking point on this one, and we all kind of talked about this before the show, is that the 3-month boost cost 3,000 station cash, and the 6-month one cost 5,000 station cash. Now, of course, anybody who's doing the math realizes that that's $30 and $50 respectively. And I thought that was a lot of money.
You know, it does seem like quite a bit. But if you buy the 6-month membership, isn't it $10 a month for the 50% bonus then at that point?
I think so.
You know,
I
know the year, the 1 year is $10 a month. The 6 month might be $11 or $1 a month. And then this stacks on top of it. So you get more out of the membership. So it does seem a little pricey though.
I think most people were equating this as a way for people who missed out on Alpha Squad to kind of even the field. But still, Alpha Squad got you all those extra weapons and the camo and stuff like that.
And you got the 4,000 station cash.
Right, and you got the station cash back. I don't know. I know we talked about this before the show, and I don't think we think that they will reduce the price if they offer this again in the future, because I think they'll get a lot of people crying who purchased it the first time around. But again, I'm in my mind, it felt a little expensive, and I really wonder how many people took advantage of it.
I can see your argument with that. That does seem, just gut reaction, does seem a little pricey. Do you guys have anything else about that hotfix?
There were a lot of patch notes, but I think we covered the majority of them. Again, if we missed, we did not go over everything, but we will include links to all 3 of these so you guys can go in and check them out if you haven't done so already.
We would still be talking about the infantry bugs if we had gone through all.
We'd be still talking about guns.
Yeah.
And this gun now has 10 more ammo.
Okay, on to community briefing then.
Attention, soldiers! Get your bus in here for this week's community briefing.
All right, I'm also going to start off community briefing. If I'm talking a lot today, guys, again, it's because my 2 co-hosts here are extremely exhausted after their cross-country journey to and from MLG Dallas this past weekend. But So let's jump right in and go to Command Center, episode 11 with Mr. Higbee and Mr. Isaac. They briefly went over Game Update 04. Basically, they just said, oh yeah, it's out, check it out. But then they said, look for Game Update 05 next week, meaning we should expect Game Update 5 this week.
Right, because it comes out Thursday last week. Oh, man,
Yeah.
that's exciting. They said it's a small one, though, didn't they?
They said it's going to be a small one, and it's pretty much just going to be the account level unlocks. They got delayed from Game Update 04 because they wanted to test them further. And then Higbee also said that rocket launchers, which weren't introduced in Game Update 04, should actually be out before Game Update 05. So I imagine a lot of people are going to download this show on Tuesday, and they'll probably get the rocket launchers that night.
And anyone who knows how to read, knew rocket launchers were never a part of Game Update 4 and that were supposed to come out afterwards. I find it surprising that they would do 2 deployments just to get rockets out and then do Game Update 5 right after that. But
well, don't
whatever.
forget that in the Game Update 04 preview video, rocket launchers were prominently displayed in that video, and that's what gave a lot of people the
there is that too. You're right.
feeling that they were going to be released in Game Update 04.
You are right.
Well,
I
next
just want to say,
go ahead.
I'm glad they pushed back on the account level unlocks because, as Higbee said, they wanted to make them bulletproof, and that's definitely something you don't want to have be buggy when they release it. So I'm happy it got pushed back. I'm really looking forward to that, though.
I agree completely. I'm looking forward to it as well. I was kind of sad this past weekend in the Double XP that everything wasn't unlocked across all my characters. I would have happily used the Annihilator on my TR character this weekend, but oh well. Yeah, one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people aren't making station cash purchases right now because they're waiting for the account level unlocks to go through. Well, next up, they did a new segment that they call PS2 Cribs, and basically they just descend on somebody's house. T-Ray does. And this time around, he went to Antithesis, who's in Azure Twilight. Sorry, I always say Azure. Azure Twilight. They went to his house.
Even they say it that way sometimes, so don't worry.
Yeah. So they went to this guy's house, and we know Antithesis because Torx and Nox met him at T-Ray's meetup in St. Louis. And he was also on the episode of Command Center with the meetup.
And we were supposed to interview him and other Azure Twilight guys yesterday, and MLG destroyed that, which we apologize for.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am under the impression that T-Ray did this during that St. Louis meetup.
Yeah.
And it was pre-recorded. So, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but, dude, Antithesis has a 6-monitor setup in his basement.
He does.
6 monitors.
It did.
Awesome.
It did look pretty awesome.
I mean, it's a friggin' monitor wall that he's got up. I can only imagine playing on that and having all 6 sync together and seeing the game on all 6 of them at once.
He showed a little bit and described a little bit how their 11 stream setup works too, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's more than cool. I was very jealous, I'll have to say. Next up, they did a quick interview with John Ratcliffe, who T-Ray described as pretty much one of the main reasons PlanetSide 1 was even made. He did a lot of the stuff, and he works for NVIDIA now and is actually helping with the PhysX integration into the game. And they showed off a lot of how the PhysX looks in the game when it's really tricked out.
It's the first game to have a lot of their new particle effects.
Yeah, the particle effects with the guy going up and down the two.
I
the
watched
two lifts. You could just watch it over and over again and see. It's like it was almost like water flowing into each other.
I kept going back and forth and rewinding that bit. I was like, "Oh, that is so cool."
John Ratcliffe also did note that he hired T-Ray, which I thought was kind of amusing. Next up,
PlanetSide, seeing as Torx and I are from St. Louis, I am quite proudly started in St. Louis.
Yeah, I have to
PlanetSide
agree.
started in St. Louis.
I have to agree that it definitely had very deep roots in St. Louis. Because that's where they said that's where one of the offices was, and they kept adding people to it.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to move. Didn't want to move, and so they set up an office in St. Louis, and that might explain how T-Ray got on board, because he's from St. Louis.
Right.
That's awesome. That's I feel a lot of pride right now. Deep down.
Well, we all love T-Ray, so.
Yeah, speaking of that, hold on.
Who are these fools? Probably somebody I don't like.
The final thing we wanted to go over on Command Center was their work in progress segment, and they followed another point of the heavy pistol that they keep showing. And they were showing them doing some of the animated recoil from it, and the person working on that was actually adjusting how the arms and the hands and everything would work, along with how the gun cocks between shots, and he was adding flair to it. It was pretty interesting how they did that. And it sounds like it's probably going to go to one more step in the next Command Center, and then it might be done.
I need to watch that one. I actually missed that portion of the...
It was kind of interesting. There wasn't too much to it, just kind of him moving the little dots around on a character, and then he'd go into a third-person view and see how it looked over the character's shoulder as it fired. Definitely interesting. If anybody out there who does
bone animation thing that they showed last time, I suppose.
Yeah, just a little more, because the bone animation was just kind of there, and they weren't really showing how it interacted with the 3D model, and they definitely showed that in this episode.
Cool.
And they did a few more other things in Command Center. You showed some logos, and they did their rum and cola segment. But those are the main points we wanted to go over on Command Center. And you guys will note no Friday Night Ops this week, because all those Friday Night Ops folks were at MLG Dallas.
Yes.
And
MLG.
that's a perfect segue for you.
It is the perfect segue.
Actually, it's a perfect segue for Adam, for Torx.
Oh, you're right. But doesn't saying it's the perfect segue make it not the perfect segue?
Okay, I'm going to keep going. So MLG was very successful in my mind. While we were there, the intent was they had a booth set up with a whole bunch of PCs with PS2 loaded, obviously, and there were a lot of gamers coming in and out, filtering through, and the booth was close to the opening doors for MLG, so a lot of people were coming in, taking a look, coming over, playing. Jenny Hamaboo. Jesus. The Jenny Boo and Hama were there helping new players kind of get acquainted with the game. And a lot of questions, a lot of good feedback. People were having a blast. People were sticking with these PCs for hours. Some people would come up and they sit there and they'd play for a little bit and take a look at it and leave. But then as the day went on Saturday, we started noticing people. Back. Yeah, they'd be back, and they'd be on for like an hour, 2 hours at a time. It was fun to watch. And we were fortunate enough that Sony let us jump up on the stream for a little bit.
A little bit?
It was... Jimmy came up to us and said, do you guys want to stream? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, just, go up there for as long as you'd like. And I kind of assumed that half an hour later or something, they'd kick us off. It wasn't quite the case.
Either way, it was a blast. We had a great time. The community that was already on there, some funny and great questions in the chat. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed hunting Nox. That was fun. Hunting Nox around and killing them. Blackbird, I do have I did respond to your email. We do have those dog tags for you. And we'll hopefully in the future, we're moving forward with some other ideas for ReachCast, so we should be seeing more streaming and other things from us as a group. But we had a blast at MLG, I guess is the shorter one I'm getting at. And happy.
I think you guys had a blast. Unfortunately, I was stuck at home watching the stream and crying myself to sleep on Saturday night.
I need to rewatch that, because afterwards, Torx was telling me about some of the things that he liked about, like, it was fun, we're talking about it, of course. And I'm like, I don't remember that. I was so tired.
Well, you were playing and you just don't remember some of the stuff that came up in the chat. There was a lot of funny stuff.
You were describing things I did in game and I don't remember doing them. So,
you were tired too.
I was so gone at that point. I was exhausted.
Yeah, 3 hours.
If any of our listeners do want to go and watch the stream with Torx and Nox playing on the PlanetSide 2 stream, go to twitchtv.com/PlanetSide2. And there is a 7-hour MLG Day 2 stream. If you go to about 3 hours and 30 minutes in, you will see the two of them take over the PlanetSide 2 stream and go for about 3.5 hours. It's a lot to watch, but there's some great stuff in there.
Apparently.
Oh, they asked you what kind of socks you guys were wearing, and I died laughing.
White socks. Good. Yeah, we were wearing white socks, or at least that's what I remember answering at the time. I don't remember.
No, you said thick socks.
Oh, did I? Okay, apparently I don't even remember what I said.
I was wearing Pumas.
Yeah, you said Puma or something else.
Well, I have Adidas too. I said I had to look because I wear Adidas socks as well as Puma socks. But one thing I did want to say is that what Torx had kind of talked about a bit is they were helping Jenny Boo and Hamma or Hamaboo, as you can call them, were helping players out. And I talked a bit to players too, and it really that event really pointed out a lot of various items in the game that a new player has trouble with, and I really hope that SOE kind of reflects back and gets some feedback from Jenny Boo and Hamma about the common questions they were asked, so they can help improve the experience of the game for new players.
I'm sure that they will have a debriefing session for something like that, a post-mortem on the event.
It wouldn't surprise me. But moving on to the very important announcement, the MLG announcement and PlanetSide 2's future with MLG, which is, why PlanetSide 2 can show up, but what's the point unless they're going to have a role in the professional gaming experience?
Didn't they interrupt a live StarCraft 2 match to do this? A bit of
outrage about this is they interrupted one of the StarCraft 2, I believe it was MC versus Life in the semifinals, and they interrupted it. And there was, from what I understand, the Twitch channel was a bit outraged. So I'm not going to comment about that, but I don't know who made that decision. I don't know why it happened that way, but it did, and it happened. But they had a really good with Axel Toss and Total Biscuit, kind of giving players who don't know what the game is a good summary of what it is. Maggie was flying around in their free cam, showing it off. It looked beautiful. But then they came to the real announcement, which was, what's the role? So Higby came on, and basically we got an idea of what it's going to be like, but he didn't get very specific. It's very open-ended, and I think that's because they're still working on it, but they felt like they're at a point where they can announce what we are knowing. So what we know now. And so basically they're planning on 48 versus 48. And these are platoon versus platoon battles. They're going to take place inside of a separate little world, basically. So I'm imagining something like VR is where these things are going to take place. And they're going to be, basically, from what I understand, chunks of the world that we are familiar with. Like, so I imagine basically you're going to have like a replica of Aladdin Biolab and the terrain around it. And then they might change a bit of it because the objectives, as he described, were going to be measurable objectives that can help decide a winner and an absolute winner and absolute loser after the end of the match. And they didn't really go into details about what those things are, but I'm really excited to see what they do. I think Torx and I talked about it for like 2 or 3 hours on our drive back, which was only a small portion of the drive back, sadly. But I'm really excited about the potential involved here. So there's that, but players are not going to have the ability to practice inside of their own little separate server, basically. They have to practice by playing the game and so this addresses the issue of, you're going to empty the world out with all people practicing just for MLG and that's all they care about. So you have to play the game in order to practice and get used to this stuff. So I think that's really good. And he did mention something. I feel like I was, as we said, tired at the bit, but more rested than the day before. I feel like he mentioned something about a weekly or monthly matches that aren't MLG related, just something that PlanetSide 2 operates, and maybe little miniature tournaments and I feel like this would be a really good idea if they didn't mention it and I'm just dreaming, and that it would give players the experience of that separate world, because even though you can practice all you want in the environment of the normal public realm, the gameplay and the style of gameplay and the strategy used is going to be completely different in those matches. I feel like it's going to use all the aspects of the game, and it will still be the game in a sense, but it's just like when you play, casual Counter-Strike versus, competitive Counter-Strike. It becomes a different game to an extent. And so I think it would be good to have something like that. We have the measurable objectives that talked about that. So they also did make sure to make it very clear that weapons will be limited to ones that SOE feels are balanced. So they're constantly going to be releasing new weapons, and they don't want to release a weapon 2 weeks before MLG that's not balanced and not kind of settled into its own groove. They want to make sure that everything's fair and balanced. So I think that's a pretty crucial part of what we have now. And a lot of people are making what's the right word I'm looking for here? They're theorizing on what all else will be involved, because basically what I said is all they said. So we'll find out.
I'm excited that it's going to be 48v48 full platoons, because that's what I had hoped it would be before they made an announcement. I know that it might be tough to watch when people are used to much smaller matches like you said, a Counter-Strike size.
Where it's 5v5, Call of Duty 5v4. So, I totally missed my note on this. Along those lines is, one of the big questions is, are all 48 of those people going to be showing up at MLG? And the way Higby described it sounds like they want it to be that way. Obviously, not everyone has the funds to fly out, pay for the hotel for a weekend to do this. And so I'm kind of interested in seeing what goes down with that. Some other theories on a link that I really liked, which I'll post in the notes about an article a guy wrote, is like you could field 5 people, like a platoon, and then 4 squad leaders basically, and those would be the face of it. But then there's the obvious concern is that if they want this to be taken seriously as a professional gaming game, that if you have only 5 people of 48, a big aspect of showing up to these events is being what is called LAN proven. And that's, you aren't a hacker. And so if you have guys that are playing over the internet, they could be hacking. And there's really no absolute proof that they're not hacking. And so if not everyone's there, you're really kind of opening the door to just not necessarily the game not being, well, it could lead to the game not being successful. You're just opening this door to the community saying, oh, well, they're just cheaters. That's why they won. And if that's just flowing around all over the place, no one will take it seriously, and then it won't be a respected game. And I honestly think there's a lot of potential for this game to be a respected, competitive game. And 48-48 is a very big challenge to overcome.
Anything else to add, Torx, before we move on to our next point?
No, I mean, Higby said what they're planning on doing, like Knox said, it's open-ended, but the concept is very exciting, at least to me. I mean, there's a lot of, it's exciting. I'll leave it at that.
My next blog, I'm going to go into a bit of some of the ideas I have about why this could potentially be a very competitive game and really include a lot of the drama that's involved with competitive esports. So, but I could go on for that for another hour, so I'm not going to talk about it now.
I look forward to that blog, seeing how I love esports. Well, next up, I just had to throw it in there. I'm going to learn to love esports, whether I like it or not. Next up is a community post that I wanted to discuss because it goes over a lot of the FPS issues that have come up since Game Update 04. There's a very large post about it. Like I said, many players are experiencing this large drop, myself included. For example, over the weekend, anytime I would go near Indar, my FPS would drop to 19 in the warp gate. Now, I think that's just kind of insane that I should ever go that low in the warp gate where nothing's really going on. And I found that on Essamir and Amrish, it wasn't as bad because the continents weren't as populated. Now, I did want to give people an update on this who are having these FPS issues, stuttering issues, or things like that. Cycles McHurts, which we know Maggie interviewed a few a while back, is one of the designers on all this and is watching all these things. He has confirmed that it is a CPU load problem. The developers are aware of it. They are testing fixes, and they will be pushing out hot fixes when they are ready. I know on Monday we had 2 minor hot fixes that were pushed out to address some of these issues, and I expect a few more of them to come as the week goes on. But don't think that they're not aware that people are having these issues. They know that they're out there and they're working on them. So let's give them a chance before we keep flaming them with hate on the forums. Torx, on to you. I really wanted to cover this topic, but I do give it to you.
Appreciate that, because I also feel strongly about it. The Higby tweeted that their intent for mines in the future will be they don't want mines to go away with death, but they don't want them to detonate other than just being driven over. They want them to detonate when being driven over, and will they want them to be able to be disarmed by other engineers. So, not much more to say other than that's perfect. That's exactly what they're, in my mind, they're intended to be, and would more clarify their role in the battle. And I'm happy, just generally happy.
Just get a collective woohoo!
Yeah, no
Yay.
kidding. I did see I feel like I saw something else from him that said if you blow them up, they're not going to detonate either, so that you can't like drop them and blow them up with a tank and get like double the damage. Basically, that's what happens now.
Oh, nice.
Or shoot them, basically. Like if you shoot them or blow them up, they won't detonate. They'll just disappear, basically disarming them.
Oh, sorry.
No. I was just going to say that's pretty good too.
Gotcha. Okay, my last comment for community briefing is I want to give a quick shout out to Capoch on from 666. You're playing and talking about switching around squad lead. And nobody really wanted to lead, and made a kind of off the cuff comment, but it stuck with me that squad leaders should get more XP. And I don't know how they would do it. Obviously, this is a very open, and I just want to give him a quick shout out because I thought it was a cool idea. Now how it would be done correctly, I don't know. But it's short, sweet. I'll leave it at that.
It's called
personally,
command rank.
Yeah, it's either command rank or just give squad leaders a 10% XP bonus. Give platoon leaders a 25% XP bonus. Simple as that.
Yeah,
it'll make people want to do it more. All right, the last thing that we want to go over during community briefing is our community question from last week. Last week we asked you, would you rather spend cash on vanity items or weapons? I hypothesized that everyone would say weapons, and I was proven wrong. 63% of you said you would be spending your station cash on vanity items, and 37% said weapons. I was very disappointed in all of you, but everyone gets their opinion. The one takeaway was that many people felt that buying guns that can be purchased with certs was taking away from the game. And it was echoed by a few different people who responded to our community question. And I thought that was interesting. And, listening to what they were saying, I kind of agree with them. And I can see how some people might think this game is pay to win when there's something like that in the game. But again, I was surprised that so many people were more interested in purchasing vanity items.
I wrote a blog about this. Another blog.
You wrote a blog.
Another blog bump. It ended up being close to 6 pages in Word, single spaced, before I was finished with it. But about like the pay to win aspect, I feel, I don't know, a lot of people don't quite understand that a lot of these weapons, they're better in different situations, making them worse in other situations. So it's not like the default weapons are I still use default weapons. I think I've only used the non-default weapons in a couple instances. So, and I feel like I'm plenty capable. I never feel like, if I had that gun, I would have won that fight. They're not that ways, but I do think they cost a bit too much, and people feel pigeonholed into buying the weapons rather than saving up the certs, which then creates that mentality of pay to win. So
I think your blog post is worth a read because you go into a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
How the prices are maybe too high.
I really like to post in the community a question from Garantine. It was there's a lot of people that put a lot of good just posts in there. If you guys want to read about thoughts of vanity versus weapons. Check it out. We'll put it in the show notes. But it was a lot of good responses and a lot of good, well thought out responses. So thanks, guys, for everybody that put them in there.
So without further ado, we do have a question for the community for this week. So this week, we'd like to know, do you aspire for your outfit to field a team for MLG, or do you plan to look for a MLG-oriented outfit now that they have made this announcement? So like we've done every other week, we're going to put a forum post out there on the PlanetSide 2 forums. Please feel free to give your responses there. You can also email your responses to us, or you can call your responses into us. We love all those ways that you guys get in touch with us. Now that we're done with community briefing, we're bringing back the research labs.
Off we go.
I thought I would combine a little of this with a little bit of this. Yes. I'm going to create the ultimate force.
Please equip your personal shield unit before entering the ReachCast Research Labs.
Well, I forgot my security thing, shield unit, but
Security.
But-
What are you talking about? Just do your stuff.
so I did a little bit of testing with dumbfire rockets.
Hey, I did some too.
You did, because you didn't believe me on one of these.
You're right. I didn't believe you.
But the
See, everybody listening, we double test everything here in the research labs.
He didn't even believe that I double tested it, because I didn't believe it the first time I had the problem. Or not problem, but encountered this situation. Basically, you can get all the data related to all of these weapons in a spreadsheet that tells you exactly how much damage it does and exactly how much armor reduces damage from the tank. But this is more my breakdown at layman without big numbers other than how many rockets it takes to kill certain vehicles for this particular test. And basically is the default versus the decimator. I didn't test the lock-on rockets because I don't like lock-on rockets. I'm a big proponent of the dumbfire ones. So is the decimator worth buying? And so I'll let you guys kind of decide, but I'll provide some input too. So,
Well, what was your, going into it, I'm sure you had a gut feeling. What was your gut feeling going in?
oh, that's a good point. Good question. My gut feeling, I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for the decimator to be on sale because I like a heavy hitting. I was like, oh yeah, a heavy hitting rocket. I don't care if it has more drop. I want to smoke some stuff. And well, basically, a little more situational than that. So it's exactly what SOE kind of designed their weapons to be like. What I was saying earlier is their weapons there's no clear, better weapon. So 1 second. Sorry. I went and shot all the tanks, the Lightning, the Sunderer, from the front, the side, and the back. And here's what it took. Default rocket. When I shot a main battle tank from the front, it took 6 to kill it, 7 for the Vanguard. For the side, it was 5 for the default to kill it, 6 for the Vanguard. And for the rear, it was 2. The decimator for the main battle tank front was 5, flat out 5. The side for Vanguard 2. Vanguard takes less damage. The MBT for that was for the front. My bad. I said side, didn't I? For the side, it's 4 or 5 for the Vanguard, and the main battle tank hitting it in the rear is 2 again. The Lightning gave me a bit more of a bit more confusion. The default and decimator were the same for the front, each taking 4 rockets to kill it. The side, this is where I was a little confused. The default took 4 rockets. The decimator took 2. And I expected it to take, the default took 4. The decimator took 2. I expected the decimator to take 3, not 2. So I tested that twice and it came out that way. I was like, oh, all right. And then the back, it's 2 again for the back, just like the, what's it called? Main battle tanks. And I tested all 3 main battle tanks. So the Sunderer, here's one that surprised me. Across the board, front, back, rear, 5. Decimator and default rocket launcher takes 5. So if you use your rocket primarily to hunt Sunderers, I don't know that it's really worth it for you. But I think this is where the decimator has seen its most popular usage, from what I've gathered hearing other players talk about it, is the max, killing a max. they both take 2 rockets to kill a max, but the default does half damage. The decimator does about 3/4 of the max damage. And the real difference there is that extra 4th health is much easier than for you to take out with your gun. But if you have never really paid attention, start looking at this. You'll notice that most players in max units won't really start getting careful until they're at about half health, and 3/4, they'll still pop out there and be aggressive. And 3/4 damage is, you're basically, when maxes aren't sitting at full health all the time, and a lot of them are running on 3/4, you're going to one-shot that max of the decimator. So if you really like rocket launchers to kill maxes, I think that's a very valuable purchase to make at that point.
Seems like a way to take care of scat maxes guarding a biolab.
They're killing a max. Like, I feel like that alone makes it almost worth it. Some of the guys I've heard, they don't use their decimator on vehicles because the slow speed, it's not really that much slower, but still. But the maxes is where they really bust it out and notice a big difference in helping them.
I'm looking forward to grabbing a decimator. It's a little more testing as well. I don't have one yet. I have some to lock on once, but I don't.
That's why you get the VR training room.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Knox? As well, this is a good little short thing. Yeah. On to the good, bad, and the OP.
Have another drink on me, soldier.
Okay, thank you kindly.
If you can look hard enough past all the death and all the sorrow, there are good things. You must remember that we will overcome the good, the bad, and the overpowered.
All right, I'm starting off the good, the bad, and the OP this week. And my good is getting the chance to meet all the devs and Jenny and Hamaboot. God, I keep having running it. Sorry, I don't know why I keep reversing.
That's going to be our show title, Jenny and Hamaboo.
Meeting all the devs and Hama and Jenny Boo at MLG, and it was just the entire experience of going. It's my first MLG, and it was just generally a great time. That was my good. My bad was the drive to MLG and the sleep deprivation after. So I will do my dead level best after we're done here to get the edited episode up before I go to bed. But no promises. We'll see if I pass out the test trying. But that's my good and the bad for the week, guys.
How long was your drive, just so people can get an idea?
Down, I think it took us 9.5 hours. On the way back up, it was 10 and some change.
And then I had an extra hour coming from your place to my place, so...
Yeah, it's true.
But my good is MLG. I had an absolute fantastic time. I loved streaming on the PlanetSide 2 stream and chatting with the little chatting I did do. I had a wonderful time. I had a really fun time, like, helping people learn how to play the game, answering some questions here and there. I loved watching StarCraft 2. I think I love watching that game. I don't like playing it. I love watching it. My bad is MLG because it just killed me. I caught something, or I was going through something today where I felt like I was going to hurl every time I took a breath today. And it was just, it's because of MLG, and oh my goodness, though. I don't know if I caught something from somebody or what, but man, today was not fun because of that. But, I gotta say it was worth it. What a blast.
All right. My good this week was also MLG. I had a blast in Dallas. The weather was so nice.
70 degrees. It was awesome.
Who am I kidding? I was stuck at home while you guys had all the fun. So my good this week is, well, I purchased a second monitor. I do a lot of streaming with the second monitor. It's awesome. And my bad for the week is that FPS loss that everybody else is experiencing. I said it before. I'm getting it too. 19 FPS in the indoor warp gate is just terrible.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay. Well, with that out of the way, let's get to the last segment. Mailbag.
Out of the way.
You can tell what I'm saying right now. Mailbag.
Oh, it's a perfect morning. Great timing. The mailman's just coming.
Morning. Here's the mail. Big bag.
must have been a really good way. Very strange. What's the sticking sound? Going to take a look here in this bag of mail. Oh no!
Now you just open the ReachCast mail bag.
All right, our first call for the week is from Red Oak.
Hey, ReachCast. This is Red Oak here from Imperial Reach again. So we've been toying with the idea of having one camo for all of our guys. Everyone gets the same sort of camo, and we roll with that during our ops. It'd be kind of interesting because we'd have 48 guys coming in with infantry, all looking the same, and then get killed with the air division, and they're all looking the same. Should give a little bit of fear tactics, or at least you recognize that, and you know it's IR. My question is, what camo do you think would be best? What camo do you think would work on all three continents? And what camo is maybe a little bit unique, a little bit less used? Thank you.
That's easy.
Oh, yeah?
Is it?
You all need to somehow get a copy of the new NVIDIA digital circuit board camo.
Oh, no. Yeah, that stuff does look pretty cool, granted.
For those who haven't seen it, there's some special NVIDIA codes. Sounds like it's only European only, that give you a circuit board layout type camo. Looks especially good on the Terran Republic Sunder when it's all black with a red circuit board type lines going through it. I think that's what Imperial Reach needs to do.
My answer would be wait for the... Man, I can't remember what that thing's called again. We just talked about it.
Player Studio.
Player Studio.
Yeah. And then design your own.
Design your own.
Yeah, I'd say in the current iteration of the game, I would take something that helps you. The one thing that you can guarantee across all continents is that the indoor coloring of all the buildings is pretty much the same across all three continents. And if you're going to use the same camo period across all three, you need to use something that favors indoor coloring, which I would shoot for probably forest grayscale.
That's what I use on all my characters.
Yeah, I mean, I use it. I find myself inside more than outside, you know. Obviously, there's better camos for some if you're fighting outside, you're a sniper or infiltrator or whatever. But
pick what you like, because
obviously, but it's not the question.
I've never felt hindered by seeing another player in different camo. To be completely honest, I've never looked at someone and been like, oh, I couldn't see them because of what they were wearing. Maybe it's just me, but I think you just pick something purely aesthetic, as long as it's not neon pink.
All right, we've answered Red Oak's question. Next call.
Thanks for not at all answering the question and turning it on its head. Appreciate it.
I did answer it.
He did answer.
Whatever you want.
Horrible job. Horrible job.
Hi, ReachCast. This is Jenny Moo from PlanetSide Universe, and this message is for Knox. Knox, I'm calling to say how very disappointed I am in you. I recently, on the PlanetSide 2 Twitch channel, saw you bailing out of your aircraft. I still have an understanding about my pure rage for bailers. However, I don't think all hope is lost yet. You can feel free to contact a real pilot to show you how it's done. I'm available anytime, Max. I still think there's hope for us to save our friendship, so get back to me. All right? Talk to you later, buddy. Bye.
Wow.
You just got called out.
All I have to say about that is I'm going to pass that call out on to Jimmy Wisenhunt, who bailed on the MLG stream when they were featuring PlanetSide 2.
Oh, he did, didn't he? That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They were showing him. They showed him playing for a brief moment in time, and I saw him flying that Reaver around for a good while. And when they started showing him, he jumped right out.
That was awesome. Well, I guess sounds like you need to do some training.
Knox, you were having a tough time with those keyboard controls. I saw you spawn a Reaver and eject out of it immediately, and you only got lucky that it landed and you were able to get back in it.
My hand was like, I had it off by one error. My hand was just one over, and I hit E.
Yeah, we were I got in and Jimmy had it inverted, and I was like, "Oh no!" I flew like a mosquito directly into the ground. Like,
I had
immediately.
that problem. Then Torx uninverted it, and I like inverted, and that was the part of a problem too at the beginning.
It was all trying to share the same PC didn't turn out as well as me would have hoped. All right, well let's call. We have Mono.
Hey guys, it's Mono. It's been a while since I called in. Since calling in, or since last time I called in, I'm now happy soldier of the Imperial Reach outfit. So morale is high. Just calling to chime in on your community subject. I think pump action shotguns are fine the way they are. I mean, I don't think that they're overpowered in the slightest. I've been using, even before they came out, I've been using an automatic shotgun with slugs and extended magazine with a night vision scope, and it's the same exact thing in my opinion, so it doesn't really matter to me. And actually reloads a lot faster. So, besides that, I think that's pretty much everything. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself at MLG, except for Derringer, but, he gets to, I'll catch you guys catch Derringer at PAX. Alright, take it easy guys. Thanks. Bye.
See, there you go, man. You get to go to PAX. I don't want to hear any crying.
This is true. On Friday, the 22nd of this week, I will be attending PAX East. So.
And seeing as how much you love esports, you're really going to have a good time there.
I don't know that there's a lot of esports at PAX East, dude. I was looking at the schedule on Friday today. I'm going to the Nerdcore Hip Hop symposium that they're having there. I'm going to join a Magic the Gathering tournament that they got going on there. I'm going to have a grand old time.
Nice.
I was being sarcastic.
But yeah, this Friday I will be at PAX East. I will be wearing my purple ReachCast t-shirt. Find me, say hello to me. I will be up and around on the floor. Feel free to bug me.
Just form a nice line so he's not overwhelmed by the crowd of people surrounding him.
There's not going to be a crowd of people surrounding me. Trust me.
Whatever. All right. We had an email from Bastard, and Bastard was the one that left the iTunes review that I read last week, and I totally butchered his name, which is big surprise, right? His emails basically in short said, "I'm the one who left the iTunes review. My name is Bastid," and he spelled it out like phonetically for me. He said, "AKA the bastard with the heavy Brooklyn accent. I don't know who Balric is, but it made me laugh. And thank you, Bastard. And I hopefully we'll get it right in the future." The next email we got was from Red Oak. He said,
and emailed us. My goodness,
he did. Well, the email wasn't
Doesn't he have
really
outfit ops to run instead of.
The email that he sent us was a forum post that we'll link in the show notes about some fun ops that they do for IR that they're opening to the community, which is awesome. If you guys like to do races through canyons with airplanes, you like doing flash races and a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of fun little off things other than flash races for fun events. Check out the forum post we'll put in the show notes, and you guys can do that with IR.
It was not like prizes or anything, but it's good laughs. Get to meet some people. Thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, last night we did a run where everybody got flashes out, and then we had heavies in the back seats with rocket launchers, and then we went tank hunting.
And what happened to some of those flashes?
A whole mess of them hit landmines in the middle of the road and exploded in front of me. I laughed.
It was funny to watch. The Matthias was our next guy that emailed in, and he the short version of the email, the short version, because he wrote a very well thought out email, but obviously we can't read all of it. The SOE should incentivize defending by providing cert bonuses for continent capping on top of or aside from the resource bonuses, since resources really don't matter as much right now in the game.
It was a good email. He did have a lot of interesting stuff that he put in there.
Mm-hmm. And I like that idea personally. I think they're. Go ahead.
You were going to continue.
No, I think that there's. I don't think it can be as easy as just saying put this much on each continent, but I think I like the concept of it. I'm not really. Just leave it at that.
I mean, there's ramifications like communities organizing cert farming escapades where you just rotate continent and shift since they don't lock yet. And everyone just gets certs that way because you're going to get certs capping and whatnot. But
yeah,
it probably would not be very efficient. But my other response to that though would be, I mean, I didn't read the email, so I don't know how he addressed this issue. But they are planning on reworking the resources to make them more valuable. So,
well, the email really wasn't about resources. It was
okay.
It was a comment. I kind
but
of
it
tacked
might
onto
feel
it,
like more of a reward given resources becoming more valuable. So,
yeah. Well, either way, thank you, Matthias. We have two more. The next one is Sherlock Jones, and he says, I like that name, by the way. He said, instead of XP being a straight cap right now, you know how sometimes you'll see a lot of people ghost cap and they'll rush from base to base to base just at the end of it to get the cap, right? Maybe a better solution for the way that you can gain that XP was as soon as the points turn, you get 50, you know, and then it slowly ramps up from there where you, in the end, you get the whatever 1,000 or 2,000 or however much the base is going to give you, but it's over a period of time that the longer you stay on the point, it really drives that it would be in a concerted effort to move forward in a group instead of these people hopping around, you know, which is good. I like that idea as well.
Well, so. I have a concern with that is that right now you have a lot of time where people are just sitting there waiting for a cap, and this is going to push that sitting and waiting period even longer after the cap ends, and I think a lot of people wouldn't like that.
I can see your argument.
Damn right, you see my argument.
You're gonna start this with me when I'm tired. Oh. The last email we had was Mass BTS, and it was basically just a quick tip, and the quick tip was when you guys hit equipment terminals, it automatically reloads your ammo before you even touch your loadout. So obviously you need to hit resupply to get your consumables back, like your C4 grenades and you know, mines, whatever. But just hitting the terminal and entering it automatically reloads your ammo. It's a nice little tip for people that think that you need to hit resupply for re-ammoing.
But not your consumables. Did you say?
But not your consumables, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
if you don't hit resupply, you obviously don't reload your consumables, but your ammo does reload as soon as you enter the terminal.
That is a good tip.
So,
I think
it's a simple little tip.
We had said at one point that you get resupplied, and maybe there was confusion with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's just a simple little tip.
And
It's good.
It's valuable information. I like it.
And I apparently am reading the thank yous again this week because this is an ongoing joke now.
It's the ReachCast thank you drinking game.
Yes.
If Torx mispronounces it, drink.
Gotcha.
Unless you're driving. Or
unless
at work.
you're driving. Don't.
Well, if you're at work, that's when you need to drink, so.
Don't drink. Well, it's up to you. Depends on where you work. The thank yous this week. The Blood Eagle, Fod, Oleg, really, Plushak, Dusty Lens, Cinnamon, Sunny,
Drinks.
Exaps, whatever, Hell Knight, Stalker, Riftmaker, Red Oak, Rocket, what is that word? Rocket Khrushchev.
Drink.
Khrushchev. He's a famous
Khrushchev.
person.
Wildfire, Morpholine. No, that's bull crap. That's not wrong. Morpholine. MORPHOLINE.
When you go
Morpholine.
that's
a drink.
Whatever. Harbinger, Garantine, Sinner Athan, Lord Mondando, DJ Penguin. Really? Stumorvik, Draken, Vcon, Paper Lamp, Gustave M, Apparition.
That is a drink.
Gustavo M, yeah. Apparition, Dankfist, Cowboy Homer, Blood Myth, Death. Jesus, a lot of names. Jaroth.
You got it wrong, too.
I got it wrong again.
Jolo Rolo.
Jolo Rolo.
That's another drink. Man, you're getting everyone wasted.
Walrus. Well, you put like a mile-long list of names here. The Walrus Jones. I know, granted, they're good. I'm just saying Zorro and Haterade. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback.
Joel Rollo.
Your feedback.
I hope Joel Rollo rolls a new character named Joel Rollo. I would like to see him on the battlefield.
Oh, man. And the contact info for the show, as always, ReachCastShow.com. It's our website. You can get all of our social media and everything else there. iTunes, we like reviews. It helps us, constructive feedback for the show to help us improve it. Stitcher, thumbs up, help us there. You can email us with constructive feedback or feedback for the show or anything else. I mean, anything you really want for that matter at reachcastshow@gmail.com. And you can call us. Our voicemail line is 415-787-3224 or 415-78-REACH. And Twitter, mine is at ReachCastShow.
I'm at Noxia, Noxia.
And I'm at The Derringer.
And a quick thank you, as always, to finish us off for Steve, Cliff, and John. You guys aren't on the show, but you are definite heavily contributors, and without you guys, we couldn't do it. So thank you. And that's it. Everyone have a safe week, and have fun in Planet Side 2.
See you guys.
Hit me up on Twitter if you're going to be at PAX East this week. We'll talk.
I want you to go and give Derringer a hug, potentially a kiss.
Let's not cross the kiss line.
Especially.
Yes.